This is the first video in a series on scales. We're going to use the piano to demonstrate these scales, but this can apply to any Western style instrument. So any band, orchestra, guitar, keyboard instrument can use this as a place to learn scales. This is designed to help you learn major and minor scales so that you can become more skilled at your instrument and make music playing easier. So let's talk about what a scale is. A scale is a series of whole steps and half steps. They were formed over the last 1500 years or so, and back then they were called church modes. And every mode, we had 7 of them. Every mode was based on, well, you could think of it as a pattern of each white note. So if you start C to C and did all the patterns here, that would be one mode. D to D would be one mode. E to E, another mode. Until you get to B and you have all 7 modes. Well, the 2 modes that we mainly play in music is called major and minor. Most pop music and most of the music in the last 100 years are based off of those scales. They were back in the church mode days. They were called Ionian and Aeolian modes, but Ionian is now major and Aeolian is now minor. Scales help us play melodies and understand harmonies, so that we can understand how harmonies are used in music and how it fits with the melody and stuff like that. So memorizing and understanding scales is very important as a musician. Now, before we can play these scales, we need to make sure you know what whole steps and half steps are. A half step is the smallest increment of pitch we have in traditional Western music. On the piano, steps are achieved, half steps are achieved by going up or down via white to black, except for these 2 areas right here. Because there's no blacking between, these are half steps right here. But as we go up and down, okay, those are half steps. Don't skip any note. C to D is not next to each other technically. C to C sharp is next to each other, and C sharp to D is next to each other, especially in pitch. So, how do you play that scale? That is called the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale is all half steps from like C to an octave above it. You can start chromatic scales anywhere, but let's just do C to C. And here's how you play it. Thumb on all the white keys, and third finger on all black keys. Except when you have 2 white keys in a row, you bring out your second finger to hit that second white key. And you just keep doing your 1 and 3. And you probably have heard Flight of the Bumblebee. That's a really, really popular chromatic scale-based song. So now you already know a chromatic scale. Now, as a note to other instruments, here's how you can figure out your half steps. If you play guitar, your open strings and then all the frets are half steps. Okay, so once you have an open string and then you go up all the frets, those are just half steps. That's your smallest increment. And for wind players like trumpet, clarinet, flute, look in the back of your method book and usually you'll see a fingering chart. That fingering chart is chromatically based. So it starts from your lowest note of your instrument to the highest note. So that means if you go through that chart in order, you'll be going through your instrument chromatically by half steps. This one is easy. A whole step is simply just 2 half steps. So that's a whole step. So most white to white are whole steps, and most black to black next to each other are whole steps. So just pay attention that it's 2 whole steps apart, and you'll have a whole step like that. So you can create any major scale from any of the 12 different pitches on the piano if you know the major scale formula or the major scale pattern. And here it is. The S stands for start, so we pick a pitch to start on, and we're going to start with C. And then W stands for whole step, and then H stands for half step. So next we go up a whole step to D, and then a whole step to E, and then we need to go a half step, which is F, and then another whole step, which is G, another whole step, which is A, another whole step, which is B, and then a half step, which is C again. And one of the rules about major scales is it will start and end on the same type of notes. So C to C. It'll never be like C to B flat or C to C sharp. It'll always be C to C. We'll be posting major scales and its relative minor scale, but more on that later, every week. You'll be learning fingering, how to play with both hands, and how to play more than one octave. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can go to visionaires.org and log in using your Facebook or Twitter to get all these videos so you can learn your major and minor scales and start becoming a master musician.